In this video I'm going to show the blueprint for the jump attack. I think I'm gonna for this video I'm just gonna keep it down to the normal jump attack, and then probably break them up into separate videos. Just before I get into the actual jump attack stuff, I've had a question about how I specifically control um, stuff like my switching controls on and off. Just more in detail how the setup for that actually works. Um, so I'm just going to quickly go over that. So on every input event, um, I have this branch that goes to can control player, that's controlled by the can control player variable. So this is the attack event. I have my movement events. It's got the same one for forward and backwards and left and right. Jump, got the same one. Dodge move, it's just collapsed. Got the same one. So I have that same variable on any keyboard input that controls the player. And I can then, of course, set this variable anywhere I want to be able to either give the player control or take it away. So if I go and I find all those variables, so you see I get them in multiple places, and I also set them in a few places. So let's just jump to this one. So of course in the begin play I make sure that you can't control the player. Basically, there might be like a camera fade from black and things like that. So right in the beginning you can't actually control the player, and then after a certain duration, which is just a variable there, I set it so that you can control the player. And it's the same stuff like this. So the can tick is my tick events, which is gameplay related. So just for the duration of when the game when the game starts, and I actually that is actually off by default. So it will start off and then I switch it on. And so again, stuff like the player control. If you died, for instance, so this is my death sequence. I mean, I'll go into the sequence in another video, but just to show that as soon as you die, I take away control. So I set it to false. And so I have that for, so that's like my major control, player control, control. And then for the actual events themselves, I also have individual controls. So like for the jump, I have can jump, and that's also, it's exactly the same thing, just branch it out, and I have a boolean for that. Dodge move, same, can dodge. Attack, can attack, and that's just so I have individual control. So if I'm busy, so let's say for instance I'm busy blocking. Let me just jump into this sequence. So while I'm busy blocking, I don't want to be able to attack, so I set can attack to false. And when I let go, so I mean I'm not going to go into the block sequence right now, but so when I'm holding down the block button, essentially this is what's happening here. So I can't attack while I'm blocking, and as soon as I let go of block, then I can attack. And the same for dodging and jumping, and so just I guess a little bit more detailed look at that stuff. It's a pretty simple concept. It can just get, I guess, it can get a little bit confusing. The more stuff you add, the more you have to keep track of it. So moving on to the jump attack. So this stuff, I'm actually this stuff I actually I've had some recent problems with crashes and stuff, and I've done edits that I've lost. So I'm just gonna actually, while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna actually get rid of that, because I'm actually doing these because I've done some changes on how I check for certain things. These checks are no longer actually needed. So basically what these checks did was just to see whether I'm moving or not. But I'm actually doing that in a more global way now. So I actually set these other variables. So I'm just going to get rid of that. So I'm actually setting these variables in a global setting. I did that before, but now I actually do a global movement check, and I also set it there. So I used to use these for other reasons, like in some other instances whether I can or can't do that move, and based on movement. But now, since I'm doing the movement check in a global area, I'm actually setting these variables in there and making sure that whether I can do this move or not in general. So so for the jump attack, pretty much go into the attack, and jump attack can only happen when I'm busy falling, so which means I have jumped or something. Then only that attack is actually valid, and these will only be valid in very specific cases. So for the actual jump attack, I set it to be true when I jump. So this is on my jump event. I set the jump attack to true, so that so if I just run off a ledge, I'm not actually jumping, so I can't do the jump attack. I have to actually physically jump to be able to do it. And then on that initial one, I can't attack. That's my global attack variable. So initially when I jump, I can't attack, so I can't just jump and immediately push attack and it'll do the jump attack. There's a timing there, so there's a window available for the jump attack to actually work. So there's a very short delay there right in the beginning, and then I can attack. So then so you have to jump and then give just a split second pause, and then you can attack. And then again, same with falling back. You don't have unlimited time to actually do the jump attack when you're already in the air. You have to do it within this window of between the 0.03 and the 0.2 seconds, and then switch back off can jump attack, and of course the sheath. So then I set the attack delays to basically nothing, so that immediately when I've landed, I can actually start doing normal attacks again. So just to show how that flag is actually set. And then so immediately when I can do the jump attack and it's successful, then I can do the sheath, right? And then I also set this flag just to say that I am doing the jump attack, and I use that boolean in other places to make things true or false, and say I am doing jump attack, so I can do this, or I can't do this, or whatever the case might be. And then for the attack itself, I set the damage amount, and I do a bit of a launch. I mean, this node will pretty much just push the player in the direction that you give it, like a nudge. So I do this to kind of float the player a little bit when you do the attack, so that it feels like he's actually physically doing something, not just falling back to earth. um, and then just a very, very short delay there, and then I push up the gravity, which is actually double my normal gravity is set to 6, and so this is just double my normal gravity, so that he falls back to earth just much quicker, so that the attack has some impact to it. And then I also play the animation, which this animation is not actually the attack animation, it's the pre-attack animation. It's what happens while you're in the air, and the actual attack only happens when you hit the ground, and I'll show that setup just now. And then of course grab the sword and set the attack delay amount, and anybody who watched my previous video would know that the attack delay amount is set so if you bash, if you rapidly tap the attack button, it won't actually do anything until this delay runs out. And I also set my speed multiplier just so that you can't speed off immediately after landing. And this of course is being reset in a global reset that I showed in my previous video. And then I reset the gravity back as well. So I've set that my normal gravity is actually 6, and the reason for that is just to get rid of that floatiness that the default gravity and jump settings has. We're actually on Earth, not on the moon, so you shouldn't be able to float through the air. You jump, you fall straight back to Earth, right? So and so this stuff, so of course that stuff happens and going through a sequence, so this essentially all happens at the same time. So it goes through this, and this stuff is it's just how I control a bit more the damage, like the damage radius essentially. So I use my damage volume to, which is this guy. So generally it's just on the sword, and that's what I want. That's basically what I want it to be. And for the normal attacks, that's perfect. So where the sword goes, that's where you're causing damage, and that's all timed and everything. So for the jump attack, I don't just want to damage where the sword goes. I actually want to have a bit of a radius on it, so that people to the sides of me, and maybe even a bit to the back of me, if they're very close, they will actually get damaged and pushed back and stuff like that. So I actually grow the radius of the capsule by times 10. So the normal radius is 8, and I push it up to 80. So just for the initial attack, and then after this 0.7 seconds, I set it back to normal. And I have to reset the height as well, because when you push up the radius and it goes bigger than what the height is, it would actually automatically also readjust the height for you. So at this point the height would actually also be 80, I think, after I've set that. So I just have to reset both the radius and the height after having done that. And then in this little sequence, I just actually attach the volume to the arm, to the left arm, which it just allows me to place the volume in a little bit of a better area. I don't want it attached to the sword at that point. It was a bit of a trial and error for me, just to find like how things work out the best, and this kind of works. And whether it may need some more tweaking or not. It feels pretty good right now. But this is the kind of stuff that I would end up tweaking. Little values, maybe grow this, and maybe attach it to another bone or whatever the case might be. So just attach it to another bone, and then again after the same amount of delay, reattach it back to the sword object, and then just reset its transform so that because it's placed, it's not actually on 000 in relative space, it's actually offset, so I get that initial offset transform and then just reapply it back so when I reattach it, because the snap to target would actually place it on 000, which is not correct. So anyway, and then also at the same time this delay will trigger, and it's also again retriggerable, so that if I do a bunch of these in a row, I don't end up with some overlap where settings get set and they shouldn't be getting set, right? So, and then I just disable that flag so that I know that I'm not doing the jump attack anymore. It's over. Okay, so that is pretty much the jump attack. Actually, before I forget, I didn't show the animation part. So remember that I play this animation. It's actually the in-air animation, not the actual attack animation. And I play the actual attack animation on here. So I detect hitting the ground by getting a hit. So this is just a custom event that I call from my hit events. So that's that one. So I hit something, and I also get the normal for that, and then I run into this and run that custom event. And that's obviously just so I can split out the hit events and put it in my main blueprint instead of in the collapsed blueprint for the attacks. And then I use that hit normal and I check whether it's positive Z. So if it's positive Z, it means I've hit the ground, essentially. And there's actually another way you can do this. There's actually I actually just have to go in and actually change that to the other method, but there's a sorry, I'm just gonna so the landed, so there's event on landed, so that's actually specifically after you've jumped and you've landed, or if you land. It's not a general hit event like this one is. This one's very specific to whether you've landed, and so I can actually use that instead of this. It does exactly the same thing, really, but I'll probably convert it so that I'm using that event to detect this this landing sequence here. So anyway, so the way I'm currently doing it, because obviously I did this a while back, and I'm not sure if that landed event has always been there. I think it's a new addition somewhere down the line in the engine. But anyway, so check the normal, check if it's positive on the Z axis, and if it is, go into this do once node so that the hit doesn't keep repeating itself, because the hit event will actually keep repeating itself. So that's also why it's probably a good idea to switch it over to the landed event instead. So run it through do once. Just do a check to see if I'm actually doing the jump attack or not, and then play this animation. Obviously, when you hit the ground, go through there and then play this animation. So this is the actual attack animation. So I'm just gonna actually quickly show how that works. So so you see it goes into the one animation and then land and then go into the actual attack animation. So I've tried that in different ways, doing it in one single animation and things like that, but if you happen to fall much further than your normal jump. So if you happen to jump over an edge and you do the attack, then it should still work, and that's how I make it always work. um, so that's the main jump sequence, and I'll get into this other stuff in the next video. I'm just trying to think if I missed anything. I don't think I missed anything. That's basically the jump sequence there. I think that's the end of this video. So thanks for watching, and in the next one I'll take a look at the flying swallow move, which is basically the dive attack. Thanks for watching.